Okay, we're live. It's the World Test Championship final just starting in a couple of days. I can't wait for it. It's overcast conditions. Looks as though there's going to be a lot of rain there, and it's two neutral teams over there in England. So I just can't wait for this contest to go. India versus New Zealand. It's sensational. So let's just get me, I just want to say hello to everyone before we get started. Johnny Joseph, how are you going? Rajesh Pandey, good to see you here. Kota, Ruben Loganathan, thank you very much again. Arnav the scientist, yes, we need a few scientists on here. Atta Baral, you're back again. Kapel Verma, Suraj Adhikari, so Avi King. Anyway, I've got some stats here. The first 20 overs of each innings are going to be quite crucial in this test match. And that's what we're going to talk about when we roll bumper. Roll bumper, please, Shubs. Okay, we're not going to waste any time here. We're going to get straight into the predicted 11s, then the key contest. Predicted 11s. Up first is India. We've got Rohit Sharma, Gill, Pujara, Kohli, Rahane, Pant, Jadeja. I'm thinking about Siraj instead of Ashwin, but I just feel as though you've got to go with two spinners, something different over there in England. I just think Ashwin can provide a little bit of difference there with the right arm off spin, especially with the left-handers that New Zealand have got in their batting lineup. Ishant Sharma, he's required for his extra height and little movement in the air, but he hits that good length. And Shami and Bumrah are the last two in my 11. I really wanted to get Umesh Yadav in there. I think he is a quality bowler in these conditions. He can swing the ball, but the way that Siraj bowled over in Australia, I think he would be ahead of him if they go with four quicks. What else have I got there? The thing with Jadeja, there's a number of combinations that India could go in with there. Vihari going in instead of Jadeja just for that batting depth. Remember, Vihari against the Duke ball over in the West Indies did well, but I don't think he's got enough with the ball to give you that four-seaming option. So that's why I've gone with Jadeja. And on the day of the game, I want to see how green the pitch is and how overcast the conditions are to decide whether I go with Ashwin or Siraj. But with 6 days of a test match to be played, that's with the reserve day. If they get washed out, I would go with Ashwin because there's a chance of that pitch drying up, and that will be the advantage of India. Now, let's go to the New Zealand team. Now, New Zealand, they could have made a few changes here. They could have brought Young in at number 3 with his game in that second test match against England, and they could have brought Henry in as well. But I don't think those two have got enough experience under their belt, and they've already brought Conway in, who's going to be playing his third test match. So it'd be Latham, Conway, Williamson, Taylor, Nichols, Watling, de Grandin, Jamieson, Southey, Wagner and Bolt. And I think Jamieson there is going to be the key with his extra height. He adds that point of difference that India haven't really been accustomed to. And he'll be able to bowl a little bit fuller and get those Indian batsmen playing from the crease rather than getting as far forward as they possibly can with the moving ball. So that's the lineup I'd go with New Zealand. All right, let's get into the key contest. I want to get through this quickly because there's going to be a lot of questions. We haven't done a live for a while. The first key contest, can we get that up, please, Shubs? The one that I've got is Jamieson. The reason why I think he is so important in this test match is because of his extra height. And out of all the New Zealand bowlers, in those first 20 overs, he's the one that makes the most impact. Now, there's a lot of people that out there saying that New Zealand have got the bigger advantage over England because they play in similar conditions down there in New Zealand. But you've got to remember, the ball doesn't swing as much in New Zealand as you think. It is 8th on the list with the most amount of swing around the world. So that takes that advantage out. But Jamieson, with his extra height, able to hit that good length. He gets a little bit of seam movement, keeps the batsman on the back of the crease. He can bowl a little bit fuller, and he creates those LB and bold chances. The next contest, please, Shubs. Can we get that up? Is Ishant Sharma against Devon Conway. We saw Conway come onto the test arena against England and bat superbly. He had a beautiful looking cover drive. He can play the short ball, the pull shot, and he's very good through the leg side, and he's got a good cut shot. Now, just before Stuart Broad got him out in that last test match, I'd put a blog up, or I did a vlog for the next day about Ishant Sharma coming around the wicket and getting that outside edge of Conway. He hadn't been tested through that particular England series. Broad exposed it beautifully. Coming around the wicket, Ishant Sharma is going to be a big handful for Conway, and that's why I think Ishant Sharma should take the new ball, because that will be a big wicket. I think Conway is the second best batsman in this New Zealand lineup, even though he's got the least experience. Just the way that he was able to be patient, play straight, wait for the ball, and if it's moving, he didn't really chase it. He was very patient. So Conway will be a big wicket in this scheme of things for the Test match. Okay, the next contest, please, Shubs. We've got Kane Williamson up against Jasprit Bumrah. Now, Williamson is the best batsman in this New Zealand lineup. He hasn't had a good time of it over there in England. He's got a slight elbow problem, so you've got to expose that, where he's slightly out of form, not at his best, and having injury problems, and Boomer's got to be coming on here and just a short, sharp spell at him and hitting that line and length and trying to get his wicket as quickly as possible. So that will be the big contest there. I think Boomer, just with his angles, he'll be able to get that straighter one to attack the stumps, and then that one that just moves away, if he just gets it at the right amount, he'll get that outside edge. But I'm predicting that Boomer will get Williamson out LBW in that contest. All right, let's have a look at a few contests with the New Zealand bowlers against the Indian batsmen. Rohit Sharma is the key batsman for India, opening the batting, and that's against Southee. Now, Southee uses the crease brilliantly, and what he does, he bowls close to the stumps, then he comes wider of the crease, making the batsman think that he's going to bowl a straighter one, and he entices the batsman in to play that drive, and it just moves away, and he gets a lot of wickets caught in slips by bowling from wider on the crease and getting the ball to swing late. Now, Rohit Sharma, VVS Laxman came out earlier in the week and said that Rohit Sharma's got to learn to leave the ball outside off stump for this World Test Match Championship final. Now, that's not Rohit Sharma's gig. Yes, he'll be patient there for a while, but he likes to feel the bat on the ball, and he'll chase a couple of ones. So the patience between Rohit Sharma with the new ball of Southee is one of those big contests. Whoever wins that one gives their team a big chance of winning the contest. The next contest that I've got here is Jamieson against Virat Kohli. Now, the Indian batting lineup, Gill, Sharma, and Pujara, it is very important that they bat as long as they possibly can and not expose Virat Kohli too early. Because I've got another stat up here, the next one, if you can get that up quickly. In the 20-over mark of each innings, Virat Kohli over the last couple of years is only averaging 14.6 in that particular over space. So you want to make sure that he's not exposed in those first the first 20 overs of an innings too early. If that happens, then Jamieson can come in and really attack Virat Kohli with those fuller balls. Virat Kohli won't be able to move as far forward, or won't be confident moving as far forward as he would like, and that little bit of movement off a good length will cause a bit of a problem for Virat Kohli. So I'm looking forward to two RCB players out in the World Test Championship final, head-to-head, and just seeing if the young buck can override his captain out RCB, the more experienced Virat Kohli. So that's a contest I'm looking forward to. But in my whole prediction going forward, who's going to win this test match? I'm going back to that 20-over period, the first 20 overs of each innings. The Indian bowlers far outperform the New Zealand bowlers in those first 20 overs. They were able to make a bigger impact. They averaged 19 with the ball in the first 20 over period, whereas New Zealand are averaging around a 30 over period. So that's why it's important for the top three of the Indian batsmen not allow the New Zealand bowlers to get ahead of the game in that first 20 over period, because that will give them the advantage, and it's up to the New Zealand batsmen to counteract the Indian strength in that first 20 overs. So that's the area of most concern in this Test match moving forward. Whoever gets that advantage early on will win the contest. Okay, let's get to the questions. I'm going to put my glasses on so I can read this. Ask Hoggy. Hi, Hoggy. Do you think Gill is getting too much backing? I'll finish the question. Was it unfair to drop Agarwal after just 2 bad tests in Australia? Agarwal has had great partnerships with Rowett and a better average. I was looking at the stats, and I'm very surprised that Agarwal wasn't in the final 15, because he's actually got a better record than Gill against pace bowling opening the batting, and I think that is a much needed thing in this World Test Match Championship final. So I'm surprised that they've gone for Gill over Agarwal, but the way that Gill played in that last Test match down there in Australia, under pressure in that final innings against a quality bowling attack, probably will be up there in the 2 best bowling attacks in the world. He showed character, he showed a little bit of strength, and I think the Indian selectors are rewarding him for that, and I think he'll be going out and playing with the same game plan here over in England. So for me, it's very tough on Agarwal, but they're rewarding Gill for his good display down there in Australia. And I think Soway came out as well and said that Agarwal should play because he's more aggressive, he's got a better technique, he's tighter in defence than Gill, and that's probably a little bit of a problem moving forward for India there. See how Gill plays with that moving ball. That's going to be the big test. That's a good question there, Arcotta. Next question, please, Shubs. Oh, Ravin. Danapalan, how are you, mate? Thanks very much for that contribution. Hi, Hoggy. Why is New Zealand so successful at home? Has it made more difficult for India by playing in England? I don't think New Zealand have got home advantage over in England. New Zealand haven't got home advantage over in England. If you look at these 2 teams, they're the best teams in the batting department against the swinging ball. And when I talk about the swinging ball, it's not small swing, it's swing that you would get over in England. So it's going to be a close contest. New Zealand, I think, averaged 33 with the swinging ball. India averaged 32. There's only a 1 run difference there. So there's no advantage to New Zealand over there. And as I said leading in, New Zealand conditions, everyone thinks that it swings a lot more down there in New Zealand. But the stats have shown over the last couple of years that New Zealand conditions, they're 8th on the list of ball movement in the air down there in New Zealand. So there's not much advantage for New Zealand going into this test match other than the 2 test matches that they have played before this test final. Remember that India are over there just playing some inter-squad matches and preparing that way, whereas New Zealand have played those 2 test matches. And going into the test match, I think it's caused more issues for New Zealand in the selection side of things because Henry picked up all those wickets. Young made runs out number 3, and Nichols wasn't making runs, and Wagner's potency with the ball, with that new ball, could be a bit of a problem as well. And Bolt as well. He averages 30 in the first 20 overs of a game. So there's selection headaches for New Zealand. So I'm more comfortable with India going into this test match than New Zealand. Good question there, Ravine. Okay. Ram B. Oh, mate, how are you? Thanks very much for that little contribution too. Hi, Hoggy. This is Ramit from sunny California. God, I'd love to go over there and have a little bit of a visit over there in sunny California. It would be a beautiful place. You've been doing some awesome work. Thank you very much. Love your analysis. Do you think Siraj is a better bet than Ishant Sharma? Look, I think I think you can't go into this game without Ishant Sharma. He's got that extra height. He's got good ball movement in the air. I think the only matchup in this game where Ishant Sharma is going to struggle is against Ross Taylor. Ross Taylor, with the ball coming into his pads, is extremely dominant. So that little matchup there is the only concern with Ishant Sharma against the New Zealand batting lineup. But with the way that he moves the ball away from the left-handers and the way that he's able to hit that good length and just get a little bit of seam movement away, and the extra height that he has on Siraj, I think he's going to be a bigger handful over there in Southampton than the young Siraj. But Siraj, once this test match has finished, India have got to look out the longevity of their bowling attack, and Siraj has got to be a more permanent fixture. I just thought the way that he bowled and led the attack down there in Australia, or down here in Australia, when they were depleted, he just showed character. He showed that he's grown in stature. And I've spoken to Simon Kadich, the RCB coach, and has been with him over the last couple of years. And he has said the improvement in this young man has been unbelievable, and he won't be surprised if he's going to be leading this Indian bowling attack in the next 2 years. So there's big hope for Siraj moving forward. He's going to be a world beater. So I think he might miss out in this test match. If they go for 4 quicks, he would definitely play. But if they don't, he'll be the one to miss out. They'll go with the more experienced options. But very good question. And thanks very much for joining me from California, Ramby. Thanks very much, Ramit. Okay, next question, please, Shubs. Okay, Sonic Munna. Sir, should India play Vihari over Jadeja as he knows the conditions well and to have an increased batting depth? Vihari can bowl some off-spin also to manage the workload of Ashwin. Yes, look, I've been tinkering with that. You play Ashwin 3 quicks and you have Vihari just there to bowl a couple of overs. That could be a good option. And yes, he has batted better than Jadeja against the Duke ball over there in the West Indies. They were using the Duke ball last time they went over there. So he's got the technique to be able to bat in these conditions. I just think I think India want to go with 4 quicks, but I think they'd prefer to go with 2 spinners and 3 quicks. I think they feel it's a bit of a gamble to play Vihari in front of Jadeja and Ashwin that have had more permanent fixture in the 11 over the last year. So I think Vihari's just going to miss out, but it wouldn't be a bad option to have him out number 6 with the bowling that he can provide. But the only thing with his bowling, he hasn't done enough of it at international level, which could probably put a bit more advantage to New Zealand, because that top 6 that India have should be doing the full job, and that they're probably the best top 6 going around in the world. So I don't think you really need that extra batting security out number 7. I think you can go with Jadeja and Ashwin to do that particular role, covering the batting role there, and actually adding better variety with your bowling. So good question there, Sunuk. I wish there was one more option for Hari to get in this team, but I just don't think they'll fit him in down there, especially with the test match being able to have that ability to go for 6 days. Remember that they won't be able to put water on the wicket out there, even though there's overcast conditions. That game, the possibility of the game going into the 6th day and India bowling into the 6th day, I think they'll have that added advantage with having 2 spinners in their team. That's the only reason why Vihari probably won't be in there as well. Okay, let's go. Next question, please, Shubs. Rowan Yoli. How are you going, mate? Rohit Sharma versus Neil Wagner. Mouth-watering contest. It will be. If Rohit Sharma gets on a bit of a roll and he's starting to make runs and he gets around about that 50 mark, Neil Wagner, with his short pitch bowling that he can do and provide for long spells, I think is going to be a very good contest to watch between Rohit Sharma and the left-hand quick, if it actually happens. And I hope it does, because we want to see good test match cricket, tough test match cricket, and we want to see all aspects of the game being exposed in this match. So I just want to see some hostility of short pitch bowling against quality batsmen, and those two, nose to nose, eyeball to eyeball, will be an absolute sensational contest. Yeah, no, that's a good pick up there, Rowan. Okay, next question, please, Shubs. Hi, Hoggy. This is Srinidai. Hi, Hoggy. Do you think considering Pant over Saha for selection is just unfair, as Saha has years of experience playing in this format? Pant is a match winner. Saha, he adds quality in the batting lineup, but he's not as destructive as Pant. And if we've seen Pant in tough situations, just the way that he plays with that free-flowing game, he can take the game away from the opposition. And if New Zealand go in with a left-arm spinner and they've got two left-arm quicks, I think Pant is the perfect option to counteract that in the later innings. And you need that destructive player to turn the game around, to be able to come in and make quick runs. That's why Australia was so good. Yes, they had the quality batsman out the top of the order, but they had a Pant-like player down the bottom in Gilchrist that could come out and just explode the game, change the game, and get the momentum back into your favour within a couple of overs. And that's the secret of Pant. So I think you've got to play Pant in front of Saha. And we saw that innings, that game-changing innings that he played down there at Brisbane in Australia, and that's given him confidence. You've got to play Pant in front of Saha, especially that last performance. And while Pant is so strong and confident, you've got to keep him in there. I just think Saha's been out of the game for a little bit too long with injury, and I think that will be a bigger problem than an asset in a final. But don't write Saha off. He'll be back there again. He'll play another couple of test matches for India down the track. Don't worry about that. He'll be back with a vengeance. Okay, next question, please, Shubs. Tanay Chandra, how are you going? Will Pujara play a big role in the middle order of India? Can you tell more about dependence on India on Pujara? I think Pujara is one of the vital cogs for India in Test cricket. Yes, you've got all the attacking players around him, but he just bats time. He wears the opposition bowlers down. Yes, it doesn't look pretty in the first innings, but the more overs the opposition bowlers bowl in that first innings, the easier it's going to be in the second innings when you go out to bat. And Pujara is a big figure in that regard. The only thing with having a slow batsman out in the middle, when you've got someone like Pant or Rohit Sharma who's in full swing and Pujara can't rotate the strike, that's where it becomes a bit of a problem. So that's something that Pujara's got to look into his game. While he comes into the crease, if the batsman out the other end is like a Rohit Sharma or a Pant, he's got to learn to rotate the strike and make sure he doesn't take too many balls away from them between balls that they face, because you don't want to change the momentum of those batsmen because they're destructive. They keep the scoring rate up. They give you bowlers a more opportunity to bowl the opposition out. But when it comes to tough conditions, you need the likes of Pujara just to wear the opposition down, wear the ball out so that the opposition team can't get as much swing and the seam softens up and they can't get much seam movement off the wicket as well. So that's where Pujara is very important, just to wear the opposition bowlers down. He needs to bat. You need players to bat time in Test match cricket. And I think he's perfect batting alongside a Virat Kohli and Ajinkya Rahane as well. If those three players can get long partnerships together, then the likes of Jadeja, Pant coming in at the end with their explosive batting can just take the game away. And that's why I say if they can get to 350 without Pant or Jadeja being out in the crease, then they've got the chance of getting to 450, 500 and batting New Zealand out of the game. I know it's tough over in England conditions, but that's why you've got Pujara in the team. Okay, next question, please, Shubs. Shub Sir, how are you going? Hello, Hoggy. How much Ashwin factor will affect New Zealand? They have 5 left-handers, both of openers. Well, hopefully the openers won't be batting out that stage, but you've got the likes of Kane Williamson and Taylor. Then you've got Nichols in that middle order. They'll probably play Watling, and then it's going to be a little indifferent who they play in the lower order. Remember, they don't have Santner there. They've got de Grandin, so they've only really got 3 left-handers in their batting lineup in the top 6 or 7. But you've got Wagner and Bolt down the bottom. I wouldn't really worry too much about them, but it's the top order that you've got to worry about. So Nichols and Ashwin will be a good contest, but Ashwin is very good against right-handed batsmen as well. A good contest will be Ashwin versus Taylor, because Taylor's very dominant against right-arm off-spin. Remember, Ashwin's got that one that goes away. Ashwin's been playing a lot of county cricket as well. He's been getting used to the conditions. I think he will be a big factor in that middle order, but not so much against the left-handed batsman, more the right-handed batsman with that one that he takes away. So that will be the variation that he will set those right-handed batsmen up with. And with the extra bounce over there as well, he's going to have a bigger impact on someone like Taylor, who likes to sweep. Taylor won't be as comfortable playing the sweep shot over there in Southampton as he would be back in New Zealand. I think Southampton will have a little bit more extra bounce than what he's used to. Good question there, Shubs. Okay, next question. We've got time for one more. Aditya Narsal, how are you? If New Zealand does not play any spinner, no doubt Rishabh will miss spinner. That's right. But what would be his approach against such quality pace attack in a big final? Okay, the New Zealand pace attack, by the time Pant comes in, they probably or shouldn't be getting as much swing as what they would do with the new ball. And plus, they're not quite as quick as the Australian pace attack over here in Australia. So remember, he demoralised the extra pace that he faces over here in Australia. So I think it'll be a good contest with Pant and the New Zealand quicks. The only player that I'd be a little bit worried about Pant's aggressiveness will be against Jamieson with his extra height and just forcing Pant back on the crease a little bit more. But I think with the left-handers that bowl into his pads, I think he'll be able to make quick runs there. And Southee as well, if he doesn't get movement in the air, I think he'll be able to capitalise there. But it's only really Jamieson that will be a huge issue in this particular contest with his height. I don't think the pace will worry him because there's no extra pace in that New Zealand lineup. So I wouldn't be too worried about Rishabh Pant. Even if they don't have a spinner, I think he will still make big runs here in this final. And he's showing when the big game's on, he's going to take it up to the other attack, to the opposition attack. I love Pant. He's one of my favourite players to watch at the present moment, and I'll be looking forward to see how he goes against an all-out pace attack from New Zealand. I think he's got the goods to deliver. Okay, have we got one more question, Shubs? Yep. Harsh Sinha, how are you, mate? Ask Hoggy, hello, sir. Hope you are fine and good. I am absolutely loving life at the moment, mate. Hope you're all well as well, and your family as well. What do you think India need to do to win the World Test Championship final, and in what areas India need to remain careful? I think for me, 2 left-handed batsmen opening. Latham likes the ball going away from him. He doesn't like the in-swinger, and he gets trapped on the pads a lot. So I'd like to see Shami open the bowling with Ishant Sharma. Shami bringing the ball into Latham, and I think he'll get that big wicket of Latham just with the extra pace and movement in. And Ishant Sharma, very good around the wicket to left-handers taking the ball away, and we've seen Conway a little bit susceptible outside off stump. So Ishant Sharma to Conway, I think those 2 big contests are the key for India to break the backbone of New Zealand and expose Williamson and Taylor to the new ball as early as possible. And if you get a left-handed one of the left-handed batsmen out, take either Shami or Sharma. If Sharma gets Conway out, take Sharma off and bring Boomerang straight on when Williamson comes to the crease, and try and have Boomerang as fresh as possible to Kane Williamson. And that first 5 over or that 5 over spell of Williamson and Boomerang will be a big contest. Where India need to be very careful is with the new ball, with their opening batters. They don't want to expose Virat Kohli too early to a new Duke ball because I think that's one area where he's been susceptible over the last couple of years. So other than the last couple of years, he's been sensational there, but he's just lost a little bit of touch there, and that could be a big key moment for India to watch. Very good questions. Thanks very much for joining us, guys. It has been sensational. I'm predicting India to win this test match. There we go. I'm predicting India to win this test match, but if New Zealand win it, I think they thoroughly deserve it as well. They're a small nation. They have a small pluck of players that they can choose from. They're always competing against the top nations, and with the resources they have compared to the likes of India, Australia and England, they way outperform resources to what the other nations have. So for me, it'll be a great thing to see New Zealand win it, but also India win it as well. But I think India are going into this game as favourites. So I'll see you 8 o'clock live on Saturday morning. That's Indian time, 8 o'clock Indian time. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter. That's @Brad_Hogg. Have a good day, guys. Stay safe. Hope all your families are well. Thanks for joining me in America. India, Nepal, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and Australia and England. Have a good day, guys, and even South Africa.